So in today's lesson, we'll be learning about the cosine rule, and we're going to be looking at the two different scenarios of when you can use the cosine rule, which is to find a missing side or to find a missing angle. The most important part is to remember that the cosine rule can only be applied to non-right angle triangles. So if you have a right angle triangle, you cannot use cosine rule, and then the only thing that you can use for that is the SOHCAHTOA or Pythagoras. But this is a non-right angle triangle, so let's have a look on how we can use the cosine rule. So first of all, let's start by writing the cosine rule formula, which is a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. So this is the formula, and we're going to be looking at on how we can collect information from this triangle here. So the cosine rule to find the missing side is to make sure that you have the two sides and the value of the angle in between the two sides, which in this case is 100 degrees. If this is the case, then we can use the cosine rule to find the missing side, which is x in this case. Very important to remember that the angle and the sides that we're trying to find are the opposite of each other, and in this case we need to label them as our a for the angle and our small a for the side. It does not really matter which value is your b, either the 10 or the 13 or the c. In this case, I will label my b as my 10 and the 13 centimeters as my c. So now if you substitute all this information into the formula, it allows us to find the value of a. So let's have a look on how we can do this. So I don't know what my a is, but I know that they can tell me that a is x. So I can do x squared is equal to my b, which is 10 squared plus 13 squared minus 2 times my b, which is 10, my c, which is 13, and that will be cos capital A, which is 100. So now, if I substitute all this in a calculator, again, you can use brackets around the values to make sure that there are no errors. So x squared, if you put this in a calculator, gives me a value of 314.1485 ... Let's not need to carry on with the decimal. Now to find the value of x, I need to take the square root of 314.1485 ... And if I put this in a calculator, it gives me the value of 17.72423. Once again, I like to put a couple more extra decimal places, so then I can have a look at the whole number and show also the examiner on how I go from there to my final answer. So now the question told me to give the answer to one decimal place, so therefore I can rewrite the value of x as simply 17.7 and put in a bracket 1 dp, which means one decimal place. And this is the answer for my first question here. Now let's have a look at a different question. So in this question here, again, it's telling us to find the side BC and to give an answer to 3 significant figures. So again, how do I know that I can use the cosine rule here? I know that I can use the cosine rule because I have the two sides and the angle in between the two sides, and I've been told to work out BC, which is the side that is opposite of my angle, and therefore I can use my cosine rule formula again. Just to remind us, what is the equation for the cosine rule? That would be a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. So once I've written down the formula, again, I need to label which one is my a, capital A for the angle and small a for the side. So my angle will always be my a, and therefore the side is opposite my angle will be my small a. Again, my b and c doesn't matter which one is which, so I can label my 5 as my b and 7 as my c. Let's substitute in the value. In this case, I'll keep my a as a. So a squared is equal to b squared, which is 5 squared, plus 7 squared minus 2 times b, which is 5, c, which is 7. That will be cos 42. So now if I put this in a calculator, I get a squared as 21.97986. Then finding the value of a by taking the square root of 21.978 4.986. That gives the value of A as 4.68826 dot dot dot. And now if you round the answer to true significant figures, true significant figures simply means the first three non-zero numbers. So just start counting from the first non-zero number. So in this case would be 4.69, because after the 8 we have another 8, and therefore because of this 8 means we have to round it up. So the final answer would be 4.69 to three significant figures, and therefore that would be your answer in this case. Now I would like you to pause the video and to try to give it a go to this question here before we go through it together. Now let's have a look at this question here. Again, I need to see why I can use the cosine rule. Again, I can use the cosine rule because we have the two sides and the angle in between the two sides, and they're asking me to find the side that's opposite of the angle. So now again, let's write down the formula for the cosine rule. Hopefully you should slowly try to remember it. That is a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. So now I need to label which side is which. So my angle is always going to be my a. Again, if they label the triangle differently, you can change the sides labels. So my angle always going to be my a, and the side that's opposite my angle always going to be my small a. And my b and c, as I said, it doesn't really matter which one is which. So a squared is equal to 12 squared plus 15 squared minus 2 times 15 times 12 times cos 20. So if I put this in a calculator, a squared is equivalent to 30.7106 dot, giving my value of a square root of 30.7106 dot, giving us the value of a as 5.5417. In this case, the question is telling me to give an answer to one decimal place, so therefore that will be 5.5. The number after the first decimal place is below the value, below 5, and therefore I can round it down to 5.5, and making sure that I specify that is to one decimal place. So now hopefully we should have a good understanding on how we can use the cosine rule when we have two sides and the angle between that side to find the side that is opposite of the angle. So now we'll be moving on how we can find the angle when we know all the three sides. So let's have a look at this question here. As I said, this is still cosine rule, but in this case, we're looking at this different scenario where we have all the three sides and we've been told to find the missing angle. So again, it's very important that we label the angle that we're trying to find as a capital A, and we label the side as opposite of the angle, our small a. As before, it doesn't really matter which one is my B and C. So I'll label my 15 as my B and 16 as my C. Now let's write down the formula that we've been using for the past few questions, which is a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. We need to rearrange this equation to make cos a the subject, because we want to find the value of capital A. So in order to do this, you can either memorize the formula, or by taking few steps, you can find out the new equation that we will be using. So the first step to do here is to make sure that we're moving the minus 2bc cos a from the right hand side to the left hand side. And as this is a negative, when it goes to the other side of the equal sign, it changes sign. So it becomes a squared plus 2bc cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared. Next step is to move the a squared to the other side. So it becomes 2bc cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared. Then what's stopping my cos a being alone is being multiplied by 2bc. So the opposite of multiplying by 2bc is dividing by 2bc. So cos a becomes equivalent to b squared plus c squared minus a squared all over 2bc. Now we rearrange the equation in the format that we wanted to. So now we can simply substitute in all the values and to try to find the value of a. So cos a will be equivalent to my b squared, which is 15 squared, plus my 16 squared minus 20 squared all over 2 times b, which is 15, times c, which is 16. So if I put this in a calculator, I get cos a simply as 27 over 160. So now if I want to find the value of a, and it's like the inverse of cos, so a becomes equivalent to cos minus 1 of 27 over 160. And if I do that, I get the value of a as 80.28485 ... Again, the question wants to three significant figures. So my three significant figures are 80.2, and the first number after the three significant figures is the 8, so I must round up. So a will be equivalent to 80.3 to three significant figures. And that's my answer in this case here. So the most important part is to remember on how we need to rearrange the equation before we use it, this equation here. So now let's have a look at another question where we can walk it through it together, or if you want to pause the video to give it a go to yourself first, you can also do that. So now let's have a look at this question here. Again, we will rearrange the equation so that you see the process over and over. So in this case, we need to find out the angle, and the angle they're telling us to find is ABC. So that is the middle angle that we want. So the angle ABC is this angle here that we want to find, and therefore this angle here becomes my A, and the side that is opposite my angle becomes my small a, and the other two sides doesn't really matter which one is my B, which one is my C. So as I said, with the cosine rule, very, very important to identify our the angle A and the side A correctly. If we get that wrong, then the whole question will be wrong. So very quickly, the equation for the cosine rule is a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. We're rearranging by taking the minus 2bc cos a to the other side. So it becomes a squared plus 2bc cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared. 2bc cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared. So cos a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc. So I've rushed that bit because we already went through it, but again, by repetitively doing this, we will get used to it and you'll be able to memorize or remember the cos a formula very, very easily. So now if you substitute it in, so cos a will be equivalent to my b, which is 5 squared plus 9 squared minus 10 squared times 2 times 5 times 9. And if you put this in a calculator, cos a will give you a value of 1 over 15. Of course, this answer is simplified. So from there, if I want to find the value of a, I need to take the inverse of cos, so cos minus 1 of 1 over 15. And the value of a from there gives us as 86.177446 ... In this case, is a bit different. They're telling me to provide the answer to the nearest degree, so to the nearest whole number. And from 86.17, the nearest whole number is 86 degrees. All right, so now let's have a look at another question. So give it a go to this question on your own, and then we can go through it together. Pause the video now and give it a go. So let's have a look at this question here. As I said previously, the most important part to do is to label our angle A and our side A correctly. So the missing angle will be a capital A, and the opposite side of the missing angle, that would be a small a. your B and C does not matter which one is which, so I'm labeling 21 as B and 13 as my C. So by now, you should try to remember the equation. So I'm going to go straight to the equation, which is cos A is equal to B squared plus C squared minus A squared all over 2BC. So cos A is equivalent to 21 squared plus 13 squared minus 24 squared all over 2 times 21 times 13. So from there, I get my cos A is equivalent to 17 over 273. From there, if I want to find the value of A, we'll simply take the inverse of cos. So cos minus 1 of 17 over 273 gives me the value of A as 86.4298 ... And from there, the question is telling me to give the answer to one decimal place. So therefore, that would be looking at the first three numbers and then looking at from there to the number after the one decimal place, and therefore my answer will be 86.4, as 2 is below 5, and therefore we need to round down to one decimal place. So now you should have a good understanding of when to use the cosine rule to find the missing side and when to use the cosine rule to find the missing angle. So now let's have a look at a different question. So here we have a question that is very high level question where we have a bit of algebra and combined together with cosine rule again. They're telling us to find the value of x. So in this case, we've been given all the three sides and the angle, but again, we don't know two of the sides as they involves x. So once again, we can use the cosine rule to find this. Very important that we label our angle A and our side A properly. So angle A will be 60 and the side A will be opposite of the angle A, which will be small a. And again, my B and C does not really matter, so I'll label this my B and this is my C. So the equation for the cosine rule is A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cos A. So my A squared will be square root of 73 all squared is equal to my B, which is x minus x plus 2 all squared plus 2x minus 3 all squared minus 2 times B, which is x plus 2, C, which is 2x minus 3, and cos 60 as my A is 60 degree. So square root of 73 squared gives us simply 73 is equivalent to, then it becomes x plus 2 plus 2x minus 3 2x minus 3 minus 2, and then we can expand this here, so that becomes 2x squared minus 3x plus 4x and minus 6. And cos 60 simply gives us a half if you put it in a calculator. And we can clearly see that the 2 here with the half, it cancels out. So now let's expand the other bracket. So we have 73 is equivalent to, again, I'll put the expansion of the first two brackets in one big bracket, x squared plus 2x plus 2x plus 4 plus 4x squared. Again, I should show how am I doing. 4x squared minus 6x plus 9. That because minus 3 times minus 3 gives us a positive 9. That will be minus, if you simplify this out, 2x squared plus x minus 6. So now 73 is equivalent to, again, x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus 4x squared minus 12x plus 9 minus 2x squared plus x minus 6. So now, in this case here, we need to simply collect the like terms. So 73 can be still on the left hand side, is equivalent to let's take together all the x squared values. So we have 1 here, x squared plus 4x squared is 5x squared, minus 2x squared gives us 3x squared. So now let's have a look at the next term. We have plus 4x minus 12x will be minus 8x. Then your minus plus x, minus and plus makes a minus, so it'll be minus 9x. And the last one that we're looking at will be positive 4 plus 9, that's 13, 13 minus 6, so the minus and the minus 6 makes a positive, so become 13 plus 6, which is plus 19. So now if we move the 73 from the left hand side to the right hand side, so that becomes 0, is equivalent to 3x squared minus 9x, and plus 19 minus 73 gives us minus 54. And now we can rewrite this as 3x squared minus 9x minus 54 is equal to 0. So we can see that 3 minus 9 and 54 are all multiple of 3. You may be asking, how do I know straight away that 54 is a multiple of 3? Because one way to check it is to add up all the numbers of that number, and if it's a multiple of 3, then it's divisible by 3. And in this case, 5 plus 4 is 9, and 9 is a multiple of 3, so we know that we can divide it by 3. So if you divide it by 3, it gives us x squared minus 3x and minus 18 is equal to 0. And again, we can factorize it from here. Two numbers that multiply together to give us 18 will be 6 and 3. And in this case, in order to get minus 18, that means one of the number has to be negative. And two numbers that adds up together to give us minus 3 as well. In this case, will be minus 6 and 3. So we want to achieve the number minus 18. And two numbers that does that is 7, 6, and 3. As I said, we want to produce, when you add these two numbers, a negative 3. So that can be achieved by doing minus 6 plus 3. So if you rewrite in a bracket, so that will be x minus 6, x plus 3 is equal to 0. So therefore, we can do x minus 6 is equal to 0, or x plus 3 is equal to 0. So we get x is equal to 6, or x is equal to minus 3. As x is length, x is a value of length, it has to be positive, so x has to be greater than 0. So therefore, the only possible answer for this would be x is equal to 6 as a final answer. And there you go. That would be the answer for this question here. Hopefully you found the video useful. There'll be lots of more videos coming through. So if you like this, please make sure that you subscribe and also tell your friends.